Cappadocia under the command of Lord Bozan, at the time leader of Hatra's army. But Bozan had been killed in battle, and I and many other Parthians had been captured by the Romans, then put in chains and sent in boats to be slaves in Italy. It was there that we had been rescued by Spartacus and his men on the slopes of a sleeping volcano called Mount Vesuvius. Thus began a 3-year campaign in Italy, where I had led Spartacus' horsemen, and where we had defeated the Romans on many occasions. "I do not fear the Romans," I said. My father laughed. "You should, because when they hear that King Pacorus, formerly the friend of a slave general who terrorized Italy, is now the ruler of a small city within touching distance of their eastern provinces, they might be tempted to send an army to the walls of Dura Europos. I've beaten Roman armies before, father." "Ah, yes, I forgot. You laid waste to their homeland. But correct me if I am wrong, they defeated you in the end, did they not?" "I am made king by Sinatruces, father. That is now law. What is done cannot be undone." My father stared at the table before him. "No, indeed. Vistasper, you will take 500 of Hatra's garrison and camp them across the river from my son's new kingdom, just in case he needs to call upon additional troops." Lord Kogan, garrison commander at Hatra, raised his eyebrows at this. In his mid-50s, his shoulder-length hair and thick moustache streaked with white, his broad frame was still impressive. Tall and serious, he guarded his garrison with the tenacity of a hawk keeping watch over its nest. "That is many soldiers, Majesty." "I agree, Kogan," replied my father. "But I fear that many covet Dura Europos, and I want Pacorus to enjoy his new position, at least for a while." "I have troops enough to garrison the city, father." My father smiled. "Really? And who would they be?" "Those who came with me from Italy." 120, including the women?" My father was referring to the 20 women horse archers who had fought beside me and were led by a Gallic princess named Gallia, the woman who was soon to be my wife. She had called her women warriors Amazons, named after a race of martial women who had lived on an Aegean island called Lemnos. Many people, including most in this meeting, thought they were ridiculous, but I had seen them fight in Italy and knew that they had earned their right to bear arms. I would trust them with my life. Indeed, Gallia herself had saved my life once in southern Italy with her proficiency with a bow. It seemed like another life to me now. "Yes, father, including the women, and Gaffarn, if he will accompany me." My adopted brother smiled at me. 2 years younger than me, he had, since the age of 5, been a slave in my father's palace at Hatra. Taken as a captive in war, he had become my personal servant. He too had been captured in Cappadocia, subsequently freed by Spartacus when we had joined his cause, and then fought alongside me in Italy. During that time he had become like a brother to me, and I was glad that he had been formally made so by my parents upon our return to Parthia. "Of course, who else is going to watch your back?" "Not so hasty, Gaffarn," said my father. "You are the brother of Pacorus, no longer his slave. You must discuss the matter with your wife first, and I may not allow you to leave. You are, after all, second in line to Hatra's throne, and I do not want both my sons embarking on a fool's errand." Gaffarn smiled at me. "As you command, Majesty." My father shook his head. "No, Gaffarn, you must call me father now." "Of course, my apologies, Majesty." My father waved his hand at him. "It doesn't matter. But talk with Diana. She may not want to leave Hatra now that you have quarters in the palace. How is the child?" My father was speaking of the infant son of Spartacus and a promise that I had made to his wife, Claudia, to take her son with me to Parthia in the event the slave rebellion was defeated. Gaffarn and Diana, formerly a Roman kitchen slave in the gladiator school where Spartacus had trained, now a princess of Parthia and a close friend of myself and Gallia, were now bringing him up. How strange!